I don't know what Fine.
I need that.
Get some water.
Oh, yeah. Certain parking spaces are
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call to order the regular city commission meeting for October 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. Please have roll call.
Commissioner Drosky.
Here.
Commissioner Juarez. Commissioner Preston.
Here.
Vice Mayor Huda.
Here.
And Mayor Dan.
Here. Would you please stand for a moment of silence, our pledge of allegiance. We please keep our thoughts and our prayers, our fellow Floridians on the west coast of Florida. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have approval of our city commission meeting minutes for the regular city commission meeting of September 6th and September 14th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion from Commissioner Parnas, seconded by Commissioner Preston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Acknowledgement of our city board meeting minutes for the Education Advisory Board meeting minutes on May 4th, 2022. The African American Heritage Community meeting minutes of August 11th, 2022. Community Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes of August 23rd. Police Pension Board meeting minutes of June 30th. Hillsborough Inlet District meeting minutes of August 15th, and code compliance meeting minutes from August 9th and August 24th, all of 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion Commissioner Preston, Parnas, second by Commissioner Preston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Our approval of our agenda for tonight, October 3rd, 2022. I know we have a couple of items that are pulled. We're going to pull our certificate of recognitions for tonight, and we're going to move up 2 items. We are going to move up item number 10 and item number 11 to right before public comment. So it would be after item number 5. We're going to move those up. Need for a motion in a second.
Motion. Approve. Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hudak, seconded by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Anyone wishing to provide public comments during tonight's meeting, if you are connected to online viewers and videos, hover the mouse at the bottom of the screen, click the participant tab on the right, click raise hand. You'll be recognized by your profile name and your audio will be unmuted. For those participating via mobile or landline, dial *9 to raise your hand. You'll be recognized by the last 3 digits of your phone number. You may have to dial *6 to unmute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 1 is full. We're on item number 2 on tonight's agenda. Item number 2 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, authorizing submission of the Cycle 7 Complete Streets and Other Localized Initiatives Program application to the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization for the Northeast Eller Street Streetscape Improvements Project. Supporting the project is a local agency program project committed to funding the construction contingency and upfront costs for design, construction, engineering, and inspection services for the project, subject to reimbursement under the local agency program, providing for implementation and an effective date.
Good evening. Priscilla Sigalnik, Director for Environmental Services. Tonight, we're here to ask the Commission for a resolution to allow us to apply for this next cycle of our Complete Streets Localized Initiatives Program. Annually, the Broward MPO puts this program out, which affords local municipalities the opportunity to receive funding towards those transportation improvements. Next slide, please. So as I indicated, this Localized Initiatives Program provides funding for local transportation projects that improve the safety and mobility of all transportation users. These grants typically fund projects such as complete streets projects, traffic calming, intersection improvements, ADA accessibility improvements, transit improvements. And as I indicated, a resolution is needed from our City Commission in order for us to apply for this source of funding. Next slide. So what we've done to get to this point, we've had meetings with the MPO already to determine eligibility, and this project is an eligible project. We've also committed to delivering this project using our local agency program initiative. And this is for all federally funded projects. We have to agree to delivering this project using what is called the SLAP program. We agreed to fund the upfront costs for CPI, design, and construction to be reimbursed through the SLAP agreement. And if these funds were to be received and these improvements made, we would commit to maintaining this roadway, which is the city roadway in perpetuity. So to talk to you a little bit about the project that we are seeking grant on, if I can go to the next slide. This is the project location that we are discussing. This is Eller Street. And the limits of this project would be from 9th Avenue to North Deerfield Avenue. And this is particularly an interesting area for us because, as you're aware, the city is currently working on our Pioneer Grove Southeast 2nd Avenue project, and this ties into that overall plan that we have for our downtown city core, our local activity center known as Pioneer Grove. Next slide, please. What is proposed with this project is pedestrian and roadway lighting. We're also going to be providing nice wide shared use paths. The wide shared use paths are used by both bicycles and pedestrians. This corridor does have an elementary school and a city park, as well as the city municipal complex along it. So really a destination corridor and an area that we really want to create a sense of place around. So we do that with these aesthetic improvements, improving the pedestrian experience, improving drainage along the corridor, which is necessary, treating the drainage for water quality, so potentially installing things like bioswales or permeable pavement that might be a solution for water quality improvements, traffic calming elements to reduce speeds, and these might include things as speed tables or plateau intersections, and improve signage and marking with high visibility crosswalks to really emphasize those crossings, particularly where the kids are crossing the street. Next slide, please. So this is what the project would potentially look like. What we are proposing is on-street parking. We do have an issue where we have a lot of parking happening today in the swales. So we would just like to formalize that parking and create an actual parking aisle along the corridor. The road itself would be largely unchanged. It would still be one lane in each direction. And we would be improving the pedestrian experience as indicated with nice wide sidewalks, which also accommodates bicycle facilities due to its width. Because we're proposing a curb and gutter section, we do need to install all new drainage, which would be a closed drainage system to attenuate up to a 10-year storm. Next slide, please. And this is what it would look like in plan view. And again, this isn't this isn't set in stone. This is just a conceptual idea for what we have for the corridor. But the goal being nice wide sidewalks, improved crosswalks, a good pedestrian experience with nice wide accommodations, and potentially landscaping and all of those things that really create a destination. Next slide, please. So tonight we are recommending authorization of the submission to the Cycle 7 application. CSLIP will fund up to $3 million, and this construction is estimated at $3 million. Funds are typically available in the 5-year plan in the 5th year. Once we learn that we've been awarded the project, it'll be programmed 5 years out. Our local budget would reflect that, where we would put in our 5-year CIP when this project is funded. And I'll take the questions.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first question I have, and probably the other, is Eller Street itself. Are we going to be widening that, or are we adding lanes to that?
Only an on-street parking aisle, which would widen it just enough for a parking stall, which is typically 9 feet.
Okay.
Commissioner Press. Now, how far west is this going?
So because the project is limited to $3 million, what we were able to accommodate with the improvements was between Northeast 9th Avenue to North Deerfield Avenue. Now, North Deerfield Avenue is where that proposed Vista Clara development will be. So just past the railroad tracks.
Thank you. And obviously with this presentation this year, we're still going to go through public hearings where we get public feedback on this project to understand how it's going to work and how it will play out.
Yeah, this is just the very preliminary steps, asking for the funding to see if we can get, some assistance in funding and getting the resources to do the project.
As you stated, you need commission approval in order to apply for it. So that's what we're making this grant on.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on this item? Anybody have a closing? Come on up.
Later than I am. My name's Rick George. I live at 203 Northeast State Terrace, Deerfield Beach, Florida. I'm okay with the funding of it. I would like to caution the putting parking on the sides of the road there. We actually need a lane for the school park that has pickup and drop off is absurd. I mean, it clogs the whole, that's why cars are parking on the swale. That parking on both sides of the road, you're just going to encourage people in the school zone to cross the street right there, and you're going to have a higher risk of people.
If you address the commission, that's all right. Thank
Paul Boutel, 203 Northeast 9th Avenue, directly across from the school. Concern is basically the same as Mr. George's. My concern is once those parking spots are full, people park there, and you have that traffic, that school traffic, that whole lane is going to be blocked.
Like we said, we're gonna have public hearings on this issue, so you'll have plenty of time to have your public input. You're okay with it for us going for a grant, trying to get money
Yes, I
to do
am.
this? Perfect. Thank you.
I'm from the Church of Deerfield Beach. I'm the elder there. We had
I
questions.
need your name and
Jack Lauter, sorry.
for the record. Thank you, Jack.
We have the plans and we're looking at them and it looks like it's gonna come in, take up like 4 of our parking spots. But the widening is gonna come into that section of easement or whatever it is, which if it is, because I mean, it'll look nice. But the concerns of the school are huge because of, we've talked to you about that before. But also our water meters are there, our backflow meters are in the same spot too. So who would be addressing that? Would that be put on us or would that be put on the people?
No, and this is all stuff that we will when we
Address
have
in the
these
later
specific
meetings.
meetings specifically for this. We will make sure that all that gets addressed.
Thank you.
Sure. This is just for us to take the steps to go for approval, to apply for grants for funding for the projects. Now, the projects themselves will have to go through public hearings and input on this.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Letty Cronin, 869 Northeast 4th Street. Just to reiterate what Jack said, I'm also concerned about the flooding. I know civil engineer mentioned a while ago that they were going to put in the tank thingies. Those do build up, so I just want to know what the cycle of that will be, and also how does this play into the funding that the 277 unit building is going to be giving y'all for the other half of the parallel parking and stuff like that for second.
Thank you. I can't answer your question as far as how, what the way that's gonna lay out, because that's not what this meeting is about. We don't have that information in front of us. And this is a separate item that is just for us to go for the Metropolitan Planning Organization to seek grant funding to be able to move forward with the project. As the project moves forward, we'll have more information for you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Keith Bisson, 123 Northeast 9th Avenue, 40-year resident. I live right next to the school. I encourage the funding for this. Something needs to be done in this area. It's a high traffic area. As you all probably have heard from everybody else and aware, there's definitely a parking issue for the school. I think that needs to be incorporated in this and addressed, which I think we'll talk about later, but I encourage something needs to be done. So I definitely recommend something.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Stick one online. We're going to close it to the public. Ms. Friend, did you have a question you want to ask? Okay. You'll have to come to the microphone.
No, send it to me. That's right in the yard. Yeah.
I've been resident and we built a house in 62. So this has been home. I'm concerned with the traffic. For some reason, they start picking up children
Ms. Friend, I'm sorry. Gentlemen?
shortly after 12:30, you'll see cars there. Will this be parallel parking?
I don't believe it's entirely been determined yet, because we're still working through that. This is just for approval for us to go for funding for a grant.
Well, you can check with sheriff's office. I, for one, do not parallel parking. And I can just see a lot of.
None of us do. It's all right. Thank you, Ms. Frank. Appreciate it. Like we said, we'll have more information, and this will be plenty of public hearings on this issue for us to talk about. This is just for us to be able to go for a grant from the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Okay, I'm going to close it to the public. Commission,
Motion to approve. Second.
a motion from Vice Mayor, seconded from Commissioner Parnas. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duda,
Yes.
Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Item number 3 on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, rezoning approximately 4.288 gross acres located at 201, 221, 231, and 299 Federal Highway and 226 through 228 Northeast 9th Ave from Highway Business District B2 and RM10 residents multi-family to Plan Development District PDD, application 21-R-195, providing for a maximum of 277 dwelling units, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This is first reading. Commission today, the applicant submitted a request to defer this item to a later date, as they indicated that they will be performing an updated traffic study and have requested to defer the item so that they can perform the study, and then the item would go back on the agenda when they're complete.
Thank you, City Manager. City Attorney, my apologies. Vice Mayor?
I'd like to formally request that this is a mechanical traffic study and not a book study, something that's a physical study, as opposed to the traffic studies that we've done in the past.
I'm sure between my office and the city manager's office, we can express your request to the applicant.
Okay. So the action that's going to be taken on this is to approve the deferral. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. And just to point out for the public, because there may be a number of the public here for this item to speak on this item, when it does come back on the agenda, it will be renoticed again. So you will all receive notices in the similar manner that you received the notice this time.
I'll make a motion to approve this for later.
I appreciate the motion. I appreciate the second. We're going to look if there's any more discussion up here. And then we're going to open to the public. We're only open it to the public for the action that's being taken, which is the deferral. I don't want everybody to come up here with a recommendation. I don't want you to get tired out. I want you to waste all your best arguments for something that's not being presented tonight. Okay, so I believe the request, the last meeting we had was for this to be postponed. We said we couldn't do that until this was here. It was really at the, it was whether or not the applicant wanted to do that. Clearly, they heard what you had to say. They're going back to do traffic studies, from what I understand. And there will be another opportunity for you guys to be here to talk about this item when we have the full presentation. And it's really important, and we have a court stenographer here. This will be a quasi-judicial hearing. So your input is going to be really important during those official presentations. If you guys can mute your microphones, otherwise I'm tapping my toes to that tune. So that would be your problem. I appreciate it. But so is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on the deferral of this item? Please come up.
I'm Christopher, 517 Northeast 6th Avenue, Twin Oaks. Just want to confirm that this study, this mechanical study, physical study, will be done during the peak season, because doing it this week, the numbers are much different. They won't be in January and February. So I know the developers in a hurry to get this done. But if it's not done January, February, we get peak season numbers. It's really useless.
Thank you.
Hi, Marcia Avant, 825 Northeast 4th Court. My question is, how are we going to receive notice of when this meeting is to be held? Because I never got any notices about anything at all. And the only way I heard was from word of mouth, which is the way most of the neighborhood heard about it. So how is this notice supposed to be given
Are
to
you within
us?
500 yards of the development?
I don't think so. I'm right by Duffy's.
Yeah, I believe you would be, so you should be getting a mailing. You'll see the sign posted on the property. And I have no doubt word of mouth, but we'll also make sure that you
Okay.
could read them. Well aware.
Okay, thank you. Leanne Kenny, 532 Northeast 8th Avenue, Fairfield Beach, Florida. Postponing, whatever you want to do, I still say no, I want it to remain the way it is.
Thank you.
William Lane, 11 Tilford A, Deerfield Beach. I'd just like to know, because it says here that there's going to be a vote on the 18th, so that's going to go away.
The entire thing is being deferred.
Okay, so obviously that's not going to happen on the 18th.
That would be a second reading, I believe, the schedule of the 18th.
Yeah.
Unless, yeah, so without the first reading, can't do a second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else from the public? Check online.
That's 517 Northeast Sixth Avenue. There's supposed to be a first reading of the plat application and a site plan on October 18th. Is this deferral going to affect that first reading since it's regarding the same project?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, I thought he just answered.
I was just making
Yes,
sure, because it's the second
absolutely.
reading of
We
the.
can't do a second reading without a first reading, so that's what we do.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Mr. Taroko, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify the motion. You said motion to approve it. It was motion to approve the deferral of the item, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the second on that, is that correct, Mr. Parnas?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure
I
that.
haven't closed the public yet. If you'd like to come up, let's go right ahead.
Julie Gilmore, 1000 Southeast 14th Drive. I want to know with this, with the study, they're going to do the traffic study. It makes a big difference of the month they do it with regards to school. If they do it during December when the kids are out of school, it's not a fair study. If they do it in the springtime when they're on spring break, it's not a fair study. So if they do it, any other time that the kids are out of school, it's not going to be a fair study. So what I think I'm asking, and I'm sure everybody will, it's common sense, you do it at the peak of when you would have your highest traffic volume. It's fair. Yes.
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
the answer to your
Can we
question.
request that by the developer?
Absolutely, I think
Okay.
it's probably been heard loud and clear that they're going to address
Okay.
that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? I'm going to then close it to the public. Right now, first off, I want to thank you all for being here, number one. Number two, I think for your patience with this and understanding what the process is. And, obviously, your voices were heard at the last meeting that you came to, where it might have seemed like that was a waste of time. Clearly, it wasn't. So I think some of the things that you've requested, developers obviously looking into and doing that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience on this. It's greatly appreciated. We have a motion in a second for this deferral. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, passes unanimous. Thank you all. Here. Alex Bond, 2 minutes. That's all right. If anyone wants to hear from the side that wants to leave.
That's correct.
Go ahead and reconvene, please. City Attorney.
Yes, item number 4 on tonight's agenda is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, considering a major site plan from Tallman Pines HR Limited to construct a 6-story, 75-unit rental apartment building for senior citizens in the property located at 3851 North Dixie Highway, application number 22-PDD-04, reaffirming the allocation of 115 flex units, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. And then I believe we have the applicant and the applicant's representative here. And Mr. Polygoff, you could just let me know whether you choose to waive quasi judicial or not.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp, but we do waive quasi judicial.
Thank you.
Sorry, to advance the slides, do I just say advance?
Or next one.
Next. Mayor, members of the commission, Keith Polygoff here on behalf of Housing Trust Group and the Broward County Housing Authority. With us today is our architects, Carlos Jimenez and Leo Anillo from PPL, engineer from Keith and Associates, Jim Kahn, and I saw in the fact somewhere point out Joyce and Ann Divert from the Broward County Housing Authority. We're all here to be able to answer any questions you may have. First and foremost, thank you on behalf of Housing Trust Group, Broward County Housing Authority, Broward County, for doing your part in trying to get senior housing to the county and to service the residents of Deerfield Beach, where the need is incredibly high. You all may recall we've worked with the city for at least 3.5 years with HCG, even more before that, in order to find a development that would potentially work for this site. And because of the efforts of your staff and Eric and everyone there, we are able to bring forward this product tonight and this vision that you all approved as part of a planned development district. And today is the site plan for the overall development in order to start for this 75-unit affordable senior housing development for the city. So if we could please go to the next slide. For the members of the public who don't know the site, this is the former vacant Tallman Pines parcel located in North Dixie and Northeast 38th Court. This is the property that's adjacent to North Dixie. That's where the senior parcel is going to be. And again, this was rezoned by the city PDD, and the overall site was approved years ago. I see the city jump to the next slide, so I'm going to read it real quickly. This is the history of the site. You all recall it was antiquated and problematic housing that was demolished in 2006. When it was agreed to be demolished, it was under what we call a deed of trust, which means that it has to be maintained for attainable housing. The city created the PDD for projects such as this one. In 2019, the city approved the flex units for the development. We were awarded over $20 million in funding by the Florida Housing Finance Corporation in 2021 in order to help build it. And the PDD was unanimously approved by the commission. I think it was that long ago now, it was September of 2021. The design has gone through, next slide. The design has gone through numerous iterations over the year, but over the 3.5 years that we've been working on this, we hope that you'll find that the reduced height, the setbacks, the style is in the vision of the city. Next slide. Again, I mentioned it previously, the site is a total of only 75 units, so it's a small senior housing development. It's 96 total parking spots, which are underground, under the building. It's garage parking. One bedrooms are 702 square feet. There's 45 units of that. Two bedrooms, two baths are 927 square feet. There are 30 units of that. Next slide. We, as you recall, went through a rocky road to get here with at first the community opposition and then lesser and lesser as we kept redefining the development. And we see some of the people here that we work diligently with in order to try to get everyone on board. And unfortunately, we can never get everyone on board, but we believe that the majority has come on board. The last time we were here, Commissioner Preston, you may remember, you said, reach out to the community again, reach out to them again, and we did. And on this sheet shows even from that 2021 meeting when we came before you for the PDD that you approved it, we went back in August, February, May of 2022. If you look at the list up there, to go back out to the community again in order to get input. And your suggestion was well recognized because every time we went to a meeting, there were lesser and lesser people each time. To finally, I think the last meeting we only had 2 people from the community show up to ask some final questions about the development. So all of those, because of fear of COVID and otherwise, were all online. It was all advertised to a huge distance, well in advance, and we did Zoom and in person at the church in order to ensure maximum ability for people to come. Next slide. One of the major things that the community asked for, we did pretty quickly, and that was the reduction of height. Everyone wanted senior housing, so we said, fine, we'll agree to the senior housing there, which was huge demand for the city. And then it was, we don't want an 8-story building. So what we ended up doing was 2 stories of parking garage and 4 stories of the building. And that's how it ended up being 6 stories in order to have 75 parking spots for the residents, and then above it were the 4 stories of the building. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback about the design. There were issues that we spoke about with the community, including uplighting, which turned into downlighting, and parapet walls to make sure that the rooftop was covered, and all those things went into the final design. Next slide. You can believe it, these are all the times that the item went before the city before we got here today. So the public has now had, in terms of meeting at public board, over 6 times to come and discuss the development. The last 2 times on June 8th was a unanimous vote by the Community Appearance Board, and then September 1st, which was a unanimous vote by the Planning and Zoning Board to approve the site plan that we're bringing here today. Next slide. For those members of the audience who potentially qualify for senior affordable housing, this shows the income ranges for the development, which will be approximately, it changes annually based on income levels, but it's approximately $16,000 to $45,000 for an annual income range for the household. A 1-bedroom would rent for $900, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath is going to rent for $1,000. So again, the quality of the housing doesn't change. It's just able to be built and maintained at lesser expensive rent because the state of Florida is helping to finance the development. So the quality is still there. You really can't tell the difference, especially from the HPG product between market rate and affordable. The difference comes solely from the financing mechanism. And based on interest rates today, it makes it even more important to utilize the state funds to get this built. Next slide, please. Because this is a senior housing development, it's going to have resident daily check-in, and we have computer training, adult literacy classes, a full fitness facility, multi-purpose rooms, a bocce ball court, outdoor rooftop terrace for outside congregation, And will be a pet-friendly community for seniors who wish to have their dogs and cats at the place. Next slide. This was more of an issue when dealing with multifamily, but we put it in here anyway. There is on-site management and maintenance. There will be key fob security entrance, security cameras, background checks for every resident. And like all state-funded developments such as this, there is a zero tolerance policy when it comes to any improper activity at the site. The next few slides are elevation slides. We show the east elevation on the next slide. That is the view from North Dixie. The one after that is a three-dimensional rendering, so you can see how it looked like on North Dixie. The following slide is the north elevation side, which is a two-dimensional drawing, and the next one's the south elevation on Northeast 38. Then we have a south rendering, three-dimensional rendering on the next slide of how it looks from the Northeast 38 court side. The final slides come to the west elevation on Northeast 8th Avenue with a three-dimensional rendering on the west rendering on Northeast 38th Ave. And there you can see the entrance to the parking garage, which I mentioned before was 2 stories. And the final slide is the view of the development that also incorporates the multifamily section that I spoke about previously. So on behalf of all of us on the next slide, we would like to thank truly the City Commission, the residents, and staff for doing everything to try to help bring senior housing, affordable senior housing to the city of Deerfield Beach. Our entire team is here to answer any questions you may have. And we still, for Commissioner Preston, will continue to be open to the community to address any of their concerns. So one of the last questions we had was about, where the bus stops, on North Dixie. And although we can't control it, we have reached out to Broward County and we said, hey, this is a concern of the citizens. And we spoke to, got the new person in charge of the county transit, but they said they would look into it. So we're continuing to remain open. We continue to give everyone our phone numbers, and we hope because of that community effort that we will have a very successful development.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. We're here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Polygon. Commission comments? I'll just say right now, I want to thank you for working with the public on this and the public input. Reduction of the height is a big thing. It shows that you guys are listening. And the design, I think, was really nice. Affordable housing. It's misleading in these times because what is affordable now is out of reach of so many people, and it's such a dire need. So we're happy to get this moving forward. This has my full support. Is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on this item? As Gwen Clark read online, we'll start with you, Ms. Reed.
Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way, Deerfield Beach. Thank you, Mayor and Commission. I'd like to know about the employees because I heard him talk about a background check on the residents. What about background checks on all the employees on that site?
Okay, we'll get an answer for you on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Elizabeth Mitchell, 570 Northeast 38th Street, and I simply have a comment. I came before you all several times. I would like to say that the residents in the area, we did not know about this until at the last minute, and we did fight against it. We do not support the plan as it is, but we felt as if it was a done deal. And we were actually told that. And that's why people stopped going to the meetings. They felt it was a done deal and there was nothing they could do about it. It's not that we support it. We did support senior citizen housing, but we didn't want that large apartment complex. We didn't want that. And the developers never paid attention to what we wanted. And I just want you all to know You all supported it. It was a done deal by the time we found out about it. Even though we objected to it, it still happened anyway. So I'm very disappointed.
Thank you. Is anyone else from the public? Go ahead and close it to the public then. Mr. Polycott, can you answer the
Yeah,
question?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be real quick for Ms. Reed on the phone, who we've met with in the past. Yes, HTG does do a comprehensive background check on all employees that are working at the establishment. That standard protocol that will continue to be done. For Ms. Mitchell, I'm sorry that she feels it was a done deal. We never expressed that it was a done deal. You know, her major concern when we first met on this particular building was the height. We reduced the height substantially in order to try to garner full support. And sorry that we didn't meet all of our expectations, but we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. I will say this, I would say that if this was a done deal, the height would stay the way it was. Because we could use as many units as we can, but clearly we listened to what the residents were saying. So to say that we weren't listening or they weren't listening, based on the changes that I see, I think they were, because I don't think those changes would have happened if it wasn't for the public feedback that we got. So I think that's extremely helpful. And nothing's ever a done deal asking that it ever presents anything in front of us. Things change all the time. Vice Mayor Hudak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Polycott and his team as well. This is something that I have really been championing for over 3.5 years. Affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever you want to define it, is really unobtainable for a lot of individuals, especially those individuals that are on a fixed income. The minimum cost for a one-bedroom apartment in Tivoli is over $2,000.
Amen.
The senior citizens cannot afford that. So here you have a one-bedroom apartment for $900 and a two-bedroom apartment for $1,000. And, you know, a lot of the feedback I heard personally was, well, we're for it, but not in my neighborhood. Well, I can understand that and I can empathize with that. But this land was specifically purchased by the Broward County Housing Authority, and it is earmarked for this type of housing. This is the only thing that can go there. So what we did with all of these meetings is try to find a win-win solution for everybody. And I think we did a very good job. So I just want to thank the team for doing everything that they did. And I'm fully supporting this.
Commissioner Grosky.
Thank you, Mayor. Pardon me, I am in full support of this as well. We are in dire need of senior housing in Deerfield Beach, especially in this particular geographic location in our city. I think the hang up that a lot of people might have is that we all remember this as the Humphreys Villas location, and that was Section 8 and all of the issues and problems that were associated with that property over the years. But this is not a Humphreys Villas redo. This is not Section 8. You know, I sat at many of those community meetings, as my colleagues did as well. I remember they were there as well. And the comments that were made at the meetings were a lot of, you know, we don't want, you know, the crime or the activities that were participating in Humphreys Villas to happen at this location. And it was in the presentation, Mr. Polycott didn't mention it, but I saw it on one of his slides, that there's a zero tolerance policy to nuisance crime and rule breaking, which was one of the big issues that the residents were making at the meetings, in addition to the height, obviously. But the other one was the crime, and there's a zero tolerance policy, and that was in his presentation. He didn't mention it, but it was on the slide. And in the community meetings that I was at as well, he emphasized how there's going to be a zero tolerance policy, and this is not going to be a Humphreys Villas redo. So I just wanted to state that, and with that, I'll be in full support as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Martins.
Here we go again, not in my neighborhood. Well, for all those people who say that, when you bought your homes, I want to see the piece of paper that says anybody that owns a piece of land and legally wants to do something with it can't do so without my personal approval. because I don't want it in my neighborhood. Is there anybody here that has such a paper when they bought their home? No? I didn't think so. Affordable housing is necessary. I sit on the Broward County Planning Commission. We review every development done in Broward County with the proper percentages of low-income housing. If I wanted to build 500 homes, a certain percentage has to be for low income. That's the law. Broward County. Get used to the idea that landowners also have rights. If you live in a homeowners association, your rights are limited to what the homeowners association says. They say you cannot paint your house chartreuse. You can't paint your house chartreuse because you agreed to your homeowners association rules. The right of a landowner, in this case, Broward County owns that land and is designated for low-income housing, is the only thing that can be constructed on that property. Can't build a shopping center, a school, police station. It's slated for low-income housing by Broward County, who owns the land. All we can do is try to get the best deal we can for the residents. You wanted the height lowered, they lowered it. You wanted background checks on the residents, done. On employees, done. Other amenities, done. Now get used to the idea that landowners, including yourselves that own your property, have rights. And in this case, the county and the city are exercising their right to a piece of land that's designated for low-income housing. It's not designated for anything else. So we're going to do our best to accommodate everybody to the best of our ability. But that's what's going to happen to that land. Not whether we like it or not. It's what is. Broward County owns that land. Broward County says it's going to be low-income housing. Done. Can't be a shopping mall. So get used to the idea that this development will be done with you in mind, to the best of the ability of this city to accommodate the owners of the property around it, to make it plausible, feasible, and acceptable to you. With that, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have one more speaker before we move forward with that. I think you have a motion on the table. Commissioner Preston? No, you're good. Okay. Mr. Polycop, I have one last question for you. With the reduction in height, how many units did you lose on that?
It's hard to do the math right now, but it was approximately 9 to 10 units per floor. So you potentially could have gone up to 95 units there if we had gone higher.
So you lost approximately 20 units.
Approximately 20. Well, we knew we were reducing it, so that's why we said, we're essentially already capped at 75. Because once we know what the public, we knew we were bringing it down, but it's roughly 9 to 10 units per floor.
Okay, thank you. That's 18 to 20 senior seniors and maybe double that if it's double occupancy aren't gonna have that opportunity that others will, and that's based on public feedback. So the public feedback certainly made a difference in this. It is an unfortunate trade-off, but out of respect for those who showed up and who have concerns, I think that the height reduction is still the right thing to have been done. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parnas, second by Vice Mayor Hudak. We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda.
Yes.
Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now on item number 5 of tonight's agenda. Item number 5 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending and renaming section 2-1 City Seal of Chapter 2 Administration of the City Code of Ordinances to include the city's current official seal and city logo, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This is second reading.
Is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on this item? Not seeing anyone on the closest to the public commission.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hudak, second by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, items numbers 10 and 11 were moved up, so we're on item number 10. Item number 10 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, renaming the Center for Active Aging the Braithwaite Center for Active Aging, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Commissioner Preston.
Thank you, Mayor. Sometime back, approximately a month ago, I called the city manager and I made him aware that that we have a historical site in the city of Deerfield Beach, and that is at one time the Braithwaite Elementary School that sits where the Northeast Focal Point is present, or the Center for Active Aging. And I wanted him to understand the significance of that, and I asked him, was it possible that we rename the new building that is under construction, Braithwaite Center for Active Aging? The city manager said to me that that might not happen because the state, we get money from the state for the focal point in the Center for Active Aging. And there might be some sort of a conflict, so I asked that there be some research done to ascertain if it could be or not. I was then informed by Mr. Jonathan Salas, who was up at the state, and the state said, yes, you can name it Braithwaite Center for Active Aging, and that you would not lose any funds in doing so. And so the city manager and I had those conversations, and I asked that it be moved forward, that we would be able to rename that, and along the street that is adjacent to the Center for Active Aging, that street, Northwest Second Avenue, be renamed for Braithwaite as well, Braithwaite Place. It is important to understand that that historical site in the city of Deerfield Beach is a very significant site, and it's an inspiration to us all. It is the old school. At one time, it was called Old Colored School Number 9, and then it was petitioned by Ms. Esther May Huntley to rename it to Braithwaite Elementary. And there was a lot of kids that went there. In fact, I would ask right now, if you went to Braithwaite or you had a family member that went to Braithwaite, would you please stand?
How many went?
Thank you. And you know, there were so many people that called me, said that when we found out about what I would bring forward that this was an inspiration to the community. And they just gave their endorsement. I want to let the commission know that I met with the Historical Society and I told them about what I wanted to bring forward. The Historical Society gave its full endorsement of this. So I'm asking you tonight, my colleagues, to rename the Northeast focal point of the Center for Active Aging now Breakaway Center for Active Aging and Northwest Second Avenue Breakaway Place. And if the commission would permit, I would like to call up a historian that would give you a little bit more of a solid background than what I just did. If you guys would permit, is that okay? Sure, absolutely. I'd like to call Ms. Laura Lucas up, please.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Are we doing both of these items at the same time? Because I think only one was read in the record. I just want to make sure.
I can go ahead and read the other one into the record if you also are going to be discussing the street naming parallel to this.
Go ahead.
We'll need separate votes on each one of them. Item number 11 on tonight's agenda is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, changing the name and designation of a certain right-of-way on Northwest Second Avenue from Northwest First Street to Northwest Third Court, with dual designation in honor of Braithwaite School and its alumni, provided for conflict, severability, and effective date.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Laura Lucas. I'm a resident of Deerfield. My address is 91 I attended Braithwaite and started in the history of our school and the city, African American city, when Ms. Ovita Makita asked me to document the history. I thought at the time of her request that she was nuts, but I still continue to do it over the last 20 years. As far back as 1901, the idea of a school in the small settlement of Deerfield came about when a minister by the name of Reverend Benjamin Franklin James petitioned Dade County School Board to open a school in the city of Deerfield. It would take another 2 years for them to grant the request, which they then did financially. But they agreed that he could open a school, a de facto school. By 1903, the first school in Deerfield opened over at First Zion School, First Zion Missionary Baptist School. And what they did was they did a brush off, which was generally tree leaves and palmetto leaves on top of each other. And they had 12 students at the school. And in November 1904, I'm so confident, Reverend James' tenure ended, and two pioneering families took up the cause. That was the Howards, and of course, the Ely's. A lot of people think that Mr. Joseph Ely or Blanche Ely belonged to Pompano, but they actually belonged to Pompano. They were residents here in the city of Deerfield, and they taught in Brooklyn. As a matter of fact, Ms. Blanche Ely taught third, fourth, and fifth grade right at first. The importance of the school is not only reaching back that far. 1916, 1917, I believe it was used to register men for World War I. I know for sure that it was used to register men for World War II. 1920s, we have the school was built there was a hurricane that came like in 28, knocked down the school, the shack, and the community then built up the school from the wood, etc., that was left by the storm, wood and metal. Circa September 1924, the first African-American PTA was established, and that was right at Cathedral Church of God, which is called the College Forest Church of God. That was the first PTA in the city. Student population outgrew Deerfield Beach Elementary, and the school was replaced with this current city hall. But right down the street where Braithwaite was, there was no school. The school, in July 1928, the board purchased property, and a storm came through called the Okeechobee Hurricane and wiped out everything. So the school was devastated and destroyed. And again, there was another small shack that was built up by the community. In January 1929, the board agreed to contract for the building of a 3-room school, Negro school in Deerfield. The cost was $6,430. $34, and the electrical cost was $187. The three-room school was constructed in 98. It had 7 teachers, and most people here that are older, they would know Miss Lee Brown Golden, who was one of the first teachers. They would know Miss Ruth Nixon. They would know Miss Grace Balloon. These are all former teachers, Miss Maul Store. And these are people that I have the history on and what they went through in order to teach at the school. There's so much information. Miss Esther Howard in 1934 and 35 made a formal request of the school board to change the name from Colored School number 13 because it had changed the name again from number 9 to number 13. And what she did was ask them to change it to Braithwaite Elementary Negro School. And it was renamed to honor her former professor, which was William Stanley Beaumont Braithwaite. He was a poet, an author, and an educator, and he was one of her professors. So she came back and she asked that school be renamed in his honor. Most former students here in Deerfield, we just called it Braithwaite, but it was formerly known as Braithwaite Negro School or elementary school. And it was also a junior high school because at that time there was no junior high school in the city of Deerfield. Braithwaite spawned out 3 schools from that. Deerfield Park is a breakout of Braithwaite when the school got overcrowded. Deerfield Migrant School, which is across the street from Target, was one of the schools that were built as a result of students out there not being able to get to Braithwaite. And then finally, Deerfield Park Junior High was built as a result of overcrowding and us not having school in the county for that. So the school, to many of us, has fond memories. We all know about the school. We either know about the school itself, attended the school, or attended one of the other schools that spawned off of it. So I ask that you please consider, changing the name.
Excellent. Thank you. I want to say to my colleagues, this is a historical site in the city of Deerfield Beach that we must commemorate and allow it to live in perpetuity. History is what it is, and Deerfield Beach, for us to find out that the Northeast focal point is where that school was. And I don't know, I'd like to share this with my colleagues that after that school closed, it continued to serve the community. People who could not read or write, they continued to go to Braithwaite, and it still served its purpose. And all that is left of something so significant is a bench. And I would just ask you to consider tonight changing it to allowing us to, this community, to embrace the idea of having that be a part of city history. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Is there anyone from the public who, Commissioner Drosky, you're allowed?
I did it the last second, yes. Commissioner, I'm in support of what you're doing this evening. I do have one question for you before we open it to the public. Is there any magic to the Braithwaite Place designation? Because Braithwaite is such a powerful word that, if I look on where I'm going with this is I went onto the property appraiser's website and all of the designations, street, avenue, so forth and so on. There's 2 B's that they have on there. They have Bend and Boulevard. Boulevard is kind of generic, but Braithwaite Bend kind of has a ring to it to me. So I don't know if there's a magic to place or where that came from, but when you combine the B's together, it just has a better ring. I know it's a matter of semantics, and I'm not going to vote against it if you're in disagreement, but I just thought that maybe it just had a kind of a ring or a flow to it. But if you had a magic or a reason to the madness for place, I'm just curious as to what you were thinking, that's all.
I have actually not thought about it, Commissioner, and so I'm just okay with Braithwaite Center for Magnitude.
Well, I meant for the street designation.
Oh, for the street designation?
Yes.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking if you have a speech impediment and try to say Braithwaite Place, you're gonna have might have a little hard time. Well, yeah, that's true.
When I was growing up, I was always told TWA, terraces, avenues, and ways from north and south. Everything else goes east and west.
I was told that as well, but in the,
That's what you should go with the TW format.
no. I like to see a place because it's a great way place to do it. That's right. So I think that, actually, you just brought up something, Commissioner, actually Great Way will continue to serve because he will not teach us phonics to say it right.
Well, the public's here, maybe I'll create a groundswell here, let's see what happens.
For those of you who don't know, William Stanley Braithwaite was a writer, publisher, poet, and a literary critic as well. And he was you mentioned about him being a professor. He was a professor at the Black Atlanta University, which is now Clark Atlanta University. So it's he is credited with giving a lot of Harlem poets really a voice at a time when they didn't have that. It's an outstanding designation. I'm from place. I kind of like that. So yeah, this has my support. Anyone from the public here to comment on either of these two items?
May Francis Fagan, 3500 Southwest Littoral Boulevard, considered your Beach. Commissioner President, I'm so happy that you, as I've spoken to you previously about this, that even as an outsider, I don't take an offense to the word outsider, that you felt the need, our passion for Braithwaite. A lot of us, when I look around, we still have that connection. We went to Braithwaite, we walked there. I lived at 224 Southwest 10th Street, and I walked there every day to Braithwaite. And I feel the need that we don't have anything in the city of Deerfield that we have done, per se. So this will be something for our children, children, because my mother went to Braithwaite. We had teachers. We just had one teacher, Ms. Giles, just passed. She was 99 years old. We had Miss Howard that lived in our community. She passed. She was 104 years old. And I was just talking to her son. He's going to give us information. So people are excited. I have so many people calling me. I just had to call today to ask for more of those forms. So please, if you do anything else, you give us nothing else, give us this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public here to comment on this item?
Harold Wesley, 1061 Southwest 8th Avenue, Deerfield Beach, Florida. I thank Ben, Commissioner Preston, also for this guy named Tall for this occasion tonight to have the school thing, Berkeley, Center for Aging, whatever it is. But anyway, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me because initially I was supposed to graduate at Blanchard at 1968. But being an habitual offender, I went to Berkeley at night. evening adult education. And we had a big graduation at Fort Lauderdale High School, 1972. I'll never forget that. It means a lot to me, because I probably wouldn't have graduated, traveling the path that I was doing at a particular time. So hopefully all the commissions, if you want to sleep at night.
I'm Cheyenne Cox Stubbs. I live at 600 Southwest 14th Court in Deerfield. I'm a product of Braithwaite Elementary, so are my parents. I am 69 years old this year, and I went from first grade through the sixth grade at Braithwaite. And it was a wonderful experience. Growing up as a child, as I'm an adult now, and I look back on a lot of things that happened, I didn't understand but now I understand that they gave us such a great foundation because our teachers did not do anything immoral in our presence. I think Miss Ely, what was it, wasn't Miss Ely? I think they couldn't drink, they didn't smoke in our presence. They just gave a beautiful example of living to us. And that has carried me all these years. And I love that place. And I am honored to hear that it is being considered to be honored because I was a child delivered by Braniel the Nose. I live right down the street here at 229 Southeast 2nd Avenue. That's where I was born, about 3 blocks down the road. And I had to walk to Braithwaite. Then we moved across the track onto Southeast 3rd Street. And 3rd Street, where I live, was a dividing line. When they built Deerfield Park Elementary, that was my year of the 1st grade. And everybody wanted to go to the new school, Deerfield Park Elementary. But because I lived on the east side of the railroad track, we were not zoned to go to Deerfield Park Elementary. I was heartbroken and I went on to Braithwaite as I was assigned. And I was a good student at Braithwaite and achieved a lot so that when we moved across the track, I was then in the Deerfield Park vicinity. But I told my parents I did not want to go to Deerfield Park because I was so in love with Braithwaite that I think I was in the 4th grade. And I said there was no way I would go to Deerfield Park because I didn't know those people, but I knew the people at Braithwaite and they had carried me. And so even though I was out of district, I still walked to Braithwaite and finished my elementary school education there. So I am so honored and happy to do this, to see this, to be a part of it. I came from, my father was the 14th out of 15 kids, and my mother, my mother was the 2nd out of 11. So I had lots of cousins, I still do, so don't mess with me. In the city of Deerfield, I am related to everybody that came from the Bahamas, because all of my grandparents came from the Bahamas. Anybody that made Nassau and River Street, they're related to me. So don't mess with me. But I love this city. I love that school. And even though I'm moving around now because my children are taking care of me, and I just had to move to Jacksonville, and I was living in North Carolina for a while. But I still read the Observer online and tried to keep up with what was going on here because I love this city.
Amen.
So I am so glad to hear about this, and now I will take my seat. Thank you.
We need statute limitations on how as far as districting, you go into the wrong school, so you got a free pass. Yes.
Chris Marino, 1525 Southeast 14th Court. So the residents, I think they made their point. I'm absolutely supportive of this. I think it's great to honor our history and honor our residents' memories of this great school. I think it's a great idea. Just in reference to the street address and the name of the street. The street name is great, but by calling it Place, which runs east-west, that could be a difficulty for first responders who may get an address, want to respond somewhere, hear an address, quick reference, and they perhaps get confused. You should be very careful on how that street is named, and that's why I'm reference. Want to make sure that no emergencies at that address by an improper street name get a first responder delayed to that role.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else from the public? Ms. Clark Reed, I'll let you go ahead. Someone else is coming up to the mic. Go ahead, Representative.
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Cooper. They're known as Coach Ball. I just want to thank Mr. Preston and the board for that history lesson today. Because I had family members that went to Breakaway, but I didn't know all those facts. And I didn't know the church that I'm a part of, that will be 100 years old in 2 years, was a part of Breakaway. So I just like to thank you. I appreciate you being stood up for me once, and standing up for me again. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Gwen.
Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way. First of all, I want to say to all of those persons who attended Braithwaite that as a former commissioner in the city, we were able to put the bench that Commissioner Preston is speaking about on the site to make sure that it was known that that was the site of Braithwaite Elementary School. And I think it's very proper, and commend the City Commission for taking this action to name the Center for Active Aging, the Braithwaite Center for Active Aging. I would ask you to please vote in favor of this. It means a lot to the community because I've heard a lot from the community about this. So thank you very much, Commissioner Preston.
Thanks. Anyone else from the public hearing comments?
Well, I said as long as I could. This will be my shortest message, I'm sure, that I'll ever preach. Dr. Nathaniel B. Knowles, 2605 Southwest 14th Drive here in the city of Deerfield. I just come to rise and support this project that you all are going to be voting on. Certainly, I give respect to the mayor and vice mayor and to all of the commissioners tonight. This project that we're looking at, I attended Braithwaite when the mayor asked to raise your hand. I went part-time. Running the other time, trying to get away from school, but I thank God that I was able to complete school and to move on to do some other things in life, to come back, always be a part of this city of Deerfield. Been here 73 years. And I would not move from this city. I may not support and agree with everything that happens in the city, but I certainly support the city. I support the commission here tonight, and I pray that you would vote in affirmative to give us this project name and to do what is has been asked of you by this committee. Thank you so much. That's
Burnett Roming, and obviously I attended Berkeley too. I'm probably the baby here, but that's my auntie. Reverend Knowles, my mother, Brenda Knowles, was a student at Braithwaite, and she also was a teacher at Denver Park. So I am a direct descendant or result of Braithwaite, and I do believe in community and teaching our children to honor our community, and I believe that works both ways. So when people reached out, or even when I heard about this, I wanted to be here to speak my piece. I'm born and raised in Deerfield. My entire family, I'm probably related to half of the people in here in some way. I have a son that just graduated from Deerfield Beach High, and so I do teach him wherever you go, whatever you do. I served in the military, but I still am ready to come back and serve my community because I can come here and voice my opinion, and I know that my community is going to support me. So that's all I have to say. Please vote.
Thank you. Anyone else for public hearing comment?
Good evening. George Bowles, 530 Jefferson Drive, Deerfield Beach, Florida. Born, pretty much bred, raised here in Deerfield. Braithwaite, there's one word that I hear, and I just want to say to the commission, thank you, Commissioner Preston, for championing this great cause. I hear one word that is very important to all of us, and it's history. History in itself must be preserved. History must be kept. And I think that it is a grand idea for you all to go ahead and agree about this, because Braithwaite was a part of our history. And I believe very much so that we need to preserve the history. And I appreciate Laura Lucas and the facts, because there's a lot of things I did not know, even growing up here, about Braithwaite and what took place with it. But I'm grateful for all the people and my family and friends that did go there. So I want to impress upon the commission that you honor history tonight and keep it rolling. God bless you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? I'm gonna close it to the public. I will say this, if we had to take a bet on who spent the most time in the principal's office, my money would not have been on Pastor Knowles or Pastor Wesley. I don't think you two would have been my top choices. So I'm really surprised by that. A few of you out there, I thought for sure were gonna be front runners on that one, but not you two. So, but thank you. This is close to the public now. Commissioner Parnas and Commissioner Preston.
What I've seen tonight, the love of history in Deerfield Beach. There are many politicians out there that want to forget about history. Don't talk about this, you'll embarrass somebody. Don't talk about that, we learn from history. And if we don't study history, we don't look at history, we're going to make the same mistakes over and over and over. So I not only support this project, I support the idea of this project to honor those who came before us in a difficult time when schooling was not equal for everybody. And those who persevered and decided to learn anyway and to grow with it. So I am honored to support this 100% because I think without studying history, we're all doomed to failure. So with that, if you would please, Ben, would you like to make the motion?
Well, I have something to say first. And, you know, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, participating. I really appreciate it. But there's something that also needs to be said. During those times that was extremely difficult, we're talking about days of segregation. The difficulty that you had to endure. Very, very difficult. But here is a shining light because without the attention of certain people that were white, Braithwaite would not have continued. Julius Rosenwald was a Jewish philanthropist. He was president and CEO of Sears and Roebuck. He actually was one of the founders. He gave money to a little old school here in Deerfield Beach so that it could survive. And so what do you get from that? I mean, seriously, so we know times were hard and we know things were very difficult, but you got people that were white that were contributing and looking for the success of the school, you know? Let me kind of remind you of what the ideals of America is all about.
Amen.
Even though so many people were struggling, there were people able to see right from wrong, and they did not let color get in the way. Amen. Mr. Rosenwald's family gave money to this little city so that kids could get an education, and we must not forget that. And with that, I'll make a motion that we rename the Center for Active Aging Center, Braithwaite Center for Active Aging, and Braithwaite Place at Northwest Second Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And ask, maybe we need to get just to address some of the comments that were made. With this being called place, is that going to be an issue when it comes to navigation?
No, it is not, Mayor. I've discussed this with the Director of Environmental Services. Broward County does not have an issue with that name. Also, each one of these street renamings, they are dual designation. So it keeps its original name as well as the new name for emergency purposes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky?
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas?
Yes.
Commissioner Preston?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hudak?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commission. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys, for coming out.
Mayor, if we could just get one more vote.
Sure.
For item number 11. So that was item number 10. That was the renaming of the facility. Item number 11 is now the street designation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Preston, seconded by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay, we are now at public comment. Persons addressing the commission shall state his or her name and address and may speak for 3 minutes unless extended for 1 additional minute by the mayor. This is the time for public comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. No comment shall be made related to the personal life or personal qualities of any person, and no language which to offend persons of ordinary sensibility shall be quoted.
Yes, sir. Your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Gene Talzell, 10 Family Drive here in Deerfield Beach. Standing primarily because I'm a native of Deerfield, and I travel all over the world running around my house singing my songs. And I just noted that we don't have what we need to have in terms of the arts here. So I'm on a mission to create such a thing, and we have a benefit dinner show happening this coming Saturday. And we're inviting the commission. We have a complimentary table for you to be at that particular event. We have more information, actually our commission knows all about it already. Okay? So we have to be sure that you come and see what could be in terms of our children getting trained for the performing arts. Thank you.
Thank you. What do we see? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Where's that?
It's going to be at the EPAT Lock-in Center in Palmer.
Lock-in Center?
The EPAT Lock-in Center.
Now,
what time is that?
7 o'clock on Saturday evening, and I have the tickets with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, good evening. My name is Daniel Shinetsky, 34 Keswick Beach, Deerfield Beach, Florida, 33442. Good evening, everybody. I'm part of the Deerfield Beach Cultural Committee team. We're a team, and our goal is to expand cultural environment in Deerfield Beach. We're trying to compete with our sister cities, Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale. We have Pioneer Day, as you know. We have the Art Festival in February. That's with Deerfield Beach. But we were looking for ideas how we can outreach to the citizens of Deerfield Beach to help them enrich their culture. So we outreach to the colleges and the universities in the area. And we got positive and very, very receptive feedback from Broward College. And as you know, I don't know if the audience knows, but recently, I think this year, Broward College signed a work study training program with the city of Deerfield Beach. So they were very, very enthusiastic to work with us to bring some culture, more culture to Deerfield Beach. So as you know, Broward College has a very rich resource of artistic talent with their young students. They have a great art department, music department, theater department, film department. So I met with the dean of the music department. His name is Dean Stephen Miller, and we were looking for ideas to present to Deerfield Beach and their citizens. And we came up with the idea of the inaugural Deerfield Beach Jazz Series. So with the cooperation of the city, we're going to be having Deerfield Beach Jazz in the Park with the Broward College Jazz Band. It's going to be Thursday, October 20th, 6:30 to 8:30, Village of Hillsborough Park. That's going to be in October. In November 17th, we're going to have it at Crystal Heights Park. And in December 15th, at Oviedo McKeon Rec Complex Park. So, so this is going to be done. It was approved. We're very excited about that. And our goal and the goal of Broward College is if we could open up the arts and music to the children of Deerfield Beach. Maybe some of these children have never heard of these instruments or jazz. If we can enrich one young mind, that's our goal. And I also want to say that, as well as entertain the citizens of Deerfield Beach, that's our goal. I also want to say that our esteemed commissioner, Bernie Parnes, is a musician, and he owned the very famous Birdland Jazz Club in New York City. So, he has a rich culture with that. So again, I want to let everyone know about the inaugural Deerfield Beach Jazz Series. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Can I make a correction? It was Birdland West, not the original Birdland. I'm too young for that. I did own Birdland West.
Thank you.
Downtown, 4394 Northwest 9th Avenue. I just came back to give an update on what's going on at Heritage Circle. I think Commissioner Drosky came out and walked the property. So far, that's 3 commissioners, Commissioner Preston, Commissioner Harness. I appreciate that. The update is nothing. No work has started. Unfortunately, our president, he's fallen ill. He hasn't been in the office for the last 2 weeks. From what I heard today, he's currently in the hospital, so we pretty much don't have any idea what's going on or who's making any decisions. So that's where we're at on that. I just had a thing I just want to read. Laws are rules and regulations passed by a legislature and meant to protect and control people in different circumstances. Ordinances are local laws passed by municipalities and applicable within the city limits only. In some cases, they supersede central laws. Before you say, well, this is kind of tied in with the code departments, what they do, kind of monitoring and policing associations or properties. I'm talking about a different level. I'm talking about trying to get a grip on some of these associations and holding them responsible. Because it's a benefit to all residents of Deerfield, not just the residents of those associations or complexes. Maybe Deerfield Beach should become like a trendsetter and do something like an ordinance to get some kind of control over these people. Because what I've been reading and hearing from other people, the issues with HOAs and associations, it's just kind of out of control. It's a bigger problem than you think, because most of the time people don't bring it up or just let it go and move on. But this isn't the first time this has happened at our association. 20 years ago, before this guy took over, our president, the former president took off with all our money from what I heard. I was with my girlfriend at the time, which, like I said, she's had this place for about 4 years. So, but she was out of the state; she was renting it out at that time. But I can almost guarantee, if Deerfield Beach did something like some kind of ordinance on these people, other municipalities would probably follow, because its residents would get wind of it and go to their commissions. Before the city manager, the attorney shake that, no, that's too much. Or think about it. Remember, a positive mind finds a way for that it can be done. A negative mind looks for a way that it can't be done. Remember, if you do something like that, you don't want to make it complicated and difficult for residents to understand, or difficult for cities to enforce, because then it's just overly complicated. Just make it simple. That's something to consider. That's all. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Anyone else from the public? Glenn Clark Reed, representative, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way. Mayor, in looking over the ballot for the election, I saw that the state and the county have referendum items on the ballot. And I was just wondering if any of those elected officials were going to come before the commission to explain to the voters what they are going to be voting on. I don't know if you are aware of that, or is there anything that any way we can let the public know what these items are about?
Okay,
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public? I don't see anyone. I'm going to close it to the public. I don't know of any of our elected officials that we have scheduled to appear. I have no doubt that probably as we move a little bit closer, we might have someone request to come in and speak, but we don't have anybody lined up right now to speak on that issue. That's everything I have. Thank you, Mr. Kaminsky, Mr. Tazal for that information. Mr. Connell, I'm sorry to hear that that's still not moving forward, but we need to put our thinking caps on, see if there's something to be done. I know at least I can speak for Commissioner Grosky, myself, both former HOA board members from different associations for years. So I understand the skullduggery that goes on. So we just decided to kick it up a notch. More skullduggery.
Roseboro landing here I come.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? Okay. Next item.
Okay, the next item, we're on consent board appointments. There is one item on consent board appointments. I'll read it to the record. Item 6, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, appointing Michael Marion to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, serving as a resident member for a 2-year term, providing for conflicts and effectivity.
Anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Close it to the public. Board.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Motion by Commissioner Preston, second by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Items 7 and 8 are on consent.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on item number 7 or item number 8? Show of hands. Anyone online, item 7 or 8? Not seeing any of them. Commission, we can do it all at once if you'd like, unless there's any polls from the commission.
Nope. None for me.
Okay. For a motion for both items 7 and 8, and we'll close it to the public.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hudak, second by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, or excuse me, roll call, please.
Commissioner Grosky.
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas.
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda.
Yes.
Mayor Dance.
Yes.
Okay, we are now at comments by administration and legal. No comments from legal tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. I just have a brief presentation this evening from our acting director of community services to provide the commission and the public with an update on the Center for Active Aging, its existing programming that's going on even during construction and some construction.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, Jonathan Salas, Commission Director, the Sixth Department. And tonight's presentation is to notify the commission and the public of the comeback story for the Center for Active Aging. As we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to shut our doors and our operations became stagnant. So we had a phase now where staff has been working very hard to make sure we're in compliance and get all our programs up and running. So tonight it's only fair that I just kind of brief you guys as to where we started, where we are, and where we're going. Next slide. So a little background on the Northeast Focal Point is tonight, we had a lot of conversation about the Center for Active Aging. So we're a Northeast Focal Point as well, and we are a designation. We had a designation that by the Area Agency in 1981 that made us a Northeast Focal Point. And our designated catchment area is Lighthouse Point, Hillsborough Beach, Sea Ranch Lakes, and a lot of that's by the sea. So we cover, that's the area that we cover for our Northeast Focal Point. That's our catchment area. So eligibility requirements for the center is must be 60 years or older, live within one of those cities. So something that city staff has been looking at is seeing if we can start servicing our residents that are 55 and older as opposed to 60 and older.
So that's something we want to expand our services to. So when you look at the Center for Active Aging, we receive federal and state funding. And we're broken into like 3 divisions per se. The Center for Active Aging, we have our senior center, our adult daycare, and our preschool. So under our senior center, we promote community involvement and we provide services to make sure that our seniors stay independent. We help them with their quality of life. Under our adult daycare, we provide respite to our caregivers, activities to individuals with dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and other related memory disorders. And then we have our preschool. As we all know, we're partnering with Bezos Academy, which will have 2 classrooms with a maximum of 20 students. And we'll have a 1-to-10 teacher-student ratio. Next slide. So our current programming. Currently, we offer counseling services. And with our counseling services, we offer them daily. We have group counseling as well as individual counseling. This is another one of those programs that we're looking to expand upon. We're going to offer virtual counseling for those who can't make it to our facility. We can send them out a Zoom link and see if we can offer our services via Zoom. So we have recreation activities where daily we promote health, and we have programs, we have lectures, we have exercise programs, we do wellness screenings. We also have specialized training for our caregivers. We know that oftentimes it's a challenge for caregivers, constantly having to monitor those seniors who have Alzheimer's or dementia, things like that. So make sure we provide services for our caregivers so that they're always in the right state of mind, because they can become very stressful at times. So we also have information referral services. So if we don't have a service that we can provide to you, typically reach out to our network of providers and make sure that we can refer you to receive that service that you're in need of. We also offer transportation services. We do door to door, and we have seniors who utilize our transportation services daily to get to our center and to doctor appointments and local shopping classes. So we also offer Meals on Wheels, which we provide a hot lunch every day. Daily, we provide snacks. And we also have our EHE program, which we assist our seniors with paying their electrical bills. So those are the current programs and services. So next slide. So I guess it's safe to add on here, Breakaway Center for Active Aging after tonight. So this is a rendering with a completion date, which we are kind of been here in the summer of 2023. The Center for Active Aging should be complete. The Bezos Academy should be complete the summer of 2024. And through construction, we remain open. It's quite a challenge. I don't know if you guys have rode by lately, but most of the building is down at this point. So we have some modulars, and we've incorporated some of our programs in our parks department, where we're having our hands fitness at the Hillsborough Tech Center. We make sure we're very lenient as to where we move our programs and make sure that it's convenient for our seniors. So we remain open with ballroom dancing. We have line dancing, we have arts and craft, woodwork. So these programs remain active as we remain through construction. So next slide. As you look at our new facility, amenities and proposed programs. So our new center will have a health and wellness room, which will continue to provide fitness and agility programming. We'll also have a reading nook and library. We feel that it's important that our seniors continue to learn. Learning never stops. We'll also have a computer lab to encourage lifelong learning, as we discussed, which we recently received a grant. We'll have some tablets coming in, so we'll show them how to utilize tablets so they can become more activated with technology. We'll also have a quiet room to support and accommodate our seniors. We'll have a sensory room within that quiet room. We also have a cafe, which will be able to have snacks and beverages, and the sales from those snacks and beverages will help support services. So now we look at some of the proposed programs. Being that we're partnering with Bezos Academy, we're looking to expand on intergenerational programming. So we've already talked with Bezos, and we've looked at several ways that we can partner for intergenerational programming. And one of those things that we discussed is we have an annual Father's Day dance, we have a Mother's Day dance, and things like that. So we figured that that's a great opportunity where we can have the kids come in and dance with the seniors and vice versa, so that we can create that intergenerational program. We also looked at exploring gardening. That's something that we feel that it would be great for the seniors to garden with the younger kids. We also looked at, for the holidays, where we can do activities where we can bring them together so that we create that intergenerational campus. Also, we're looking at launching a travel club. So this travel club will have a passport for all of our seniors. And we know oftentimes they visit family and loved ones in other cities, states, countries. So every time that senior take a trip, we'll stamp that passport. And then on Fridays, we'll have a show and tell where they can tell us about their experience. So that's one of the programs we're looking at launching. We also want to reignite our walking club. There was once a walking club at the center. So we want to launch that club again where we'll count steps, and the senior who has the most steps for the month or for the quarter will provide some type of incentive. We're looking at senior can get some sponsorship and maybe provide them a new pair of walking sneakers since they're putting so many steps on their current sneakers. So also we would like to roll out language classes. That's been a request that has come in where the seniors are interested in learning other languages. There's quite a few languages that are spoken in Deerfield Beach. So we think it's only fitting that we accommodate those seniors with Spanish courses, Brazilian Portuguese, Haitian Creole classes so that they can obtain a second language. So these are some of the programs we're looking to at launching and rolling out. We also want to expand on our food service programs. As I mentioned, currently we provide Meals on Wheels, which is lunch, and we'll have a snack. So we want to expand that program and see if we can provide dinner. So we applied for a grant, which will allow us to provide hot dinner each day for our seniors as well. So that's something that we're very excited about, and we can't wait to get the good word that we received that grant opportunity. So with the expansion of the food program as well, we want to see if we can partner with some of our local food banks, maybe perhaps, and provide fresh produce, maybe once a quarter. So we want to make sure we grow that food program, which we currently have. So we also look at community resources. So oftentimes it's said that we're North Broward and all of our resources is located in Central Broward or South Broward. So we want to make sure we create a hub where we can have outside resources coming to our center on a bi-weekly schedule as well, so that they can provide those services that's oftentimes our seniors have to travel to need to, they can have it right in their backyard. So those are some of the services. So we look at, Department of Children and Family, see if they can come once every 2 weeks, Medicaid, food stamps, WIC services, and those outside sources that are located in Central Broward and South Broward. So that is a brief summary of where we are and where we plan on going. I want to thank you, Mayor and Commissioner, for allowing me the opportunity to bring up to speed what's going on at Center Fact Region. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Salas. We have Vice Mayor Hudak and Commissioner Brazel.
Thank you. These are some tremendous programs. How are we promoting all of these programs? Do we have partnerships with the local hospital, with the local doctors? I want to make sure we get the word out, to the people that need, people with the Center of Active Aging aren't online. They're at that stage in life where, other people have got to bring them to these places, or other people have got to tell them about these places or these programs. What are we doing to make sure that we promote all of these programs that, look, that are wonderful, that we are either doing or promoting? But I want to make sure that we get the word out. We're going to have a beautiful facility there. And I want to make sure that it's, that people are yelling at us because it's not big enough.
So to answer your question, Vice Mayor Hudak, so a part of our grant funding requires community outreach. So we receive units for outreach. So when we receive units, that's pretty much saying that we receive a cost reimbursement for outreach. So we're constantly doing outreach. We're at every event we could possibly attend. We'll be at Fall Festival. We go to district meetings. Everywhere we go, we walk around with our applications because we're currently doing a registration list right now. Because right now is the time, as the message I've been sending, everywhere I go is, when this facility is done, we'll have a brand new $14 million facility. Everyone is going to want to be a part of this facility. So this is the time now to be registered, engaged, and become familiar with the staff and the programming and get yourself in, because hopefully, I don't want to say this, but I can see we'll have a waiting list at some point where there's so many people all want to be part of this facility once it's open next year. So we are, everywhere we go, with boots on the ground staff. We're sharing the word, marketing, they work with us as well. We oftentimes will produce flyers. I partner with the high school to see if I can have some kids go door to door and hand out these flyers. We're targeting the Palms, the Nate Grid. We plan on going to Central Village. So we're out, boots on the ground. making sure we spread the word.
Zion had this health fair a couple of weeks ago that we attended. Were you guys there as well?
Yes, we were.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to say to Mr. Salas, I want to thank you for helping with, providing me the paperwork and all the things that I had to do, going door to door. You did a great job with that. I would like to say to the commission that, having an idea about something is only one part of it. It's just a very small part of it. Mr. Salas told me, you gotta have this, and, this has to be a part of the agenda. He just gave me a lot of work. And I'm not asking for any praise, but I went door to door at his urging to do everything to make sure it was right, because I couldn't get past anything unless I got past him. And Mr. Salas, you did a great job. You did a great job. I was out there in that hot sun. I didn't like you so much, but he told me, I was literally wet. He told me, said, well, maybe, you gotta have it this way. And he's a good city employee, wanting to do things the right way. We are very blessed to have him on the team. I will just personally thank you. And the question is, being that we have the Braithwaite Center for Active Aging, will we do any type of a blitz for that registration to get people in the community involved?
Absolutely. So we'll continue our outreach. Now we can brand the new name. So I'll get with marketing and Rebecca to make sure we come up with a plan and make sure that we're branding it correctly. The building will be the Braithwaite Center for Active Aging. So that is something we'll have to add to all of our marketing material at this point.
Jonathan, how much of what you guys do over there is the Alzheimer's daycare?
So with our daycare, we can accommodate anywhere from 20 to 25 participants. Right now, we're moving into the modular. We actually just got approved today by Broward County with the health department. We had to jump over that hurdle for the health department to approve us being in the modular. So now we have one more approval. We have to get through Arthur, and we'll be able to house 20 to 25. We currently have a list of 16 applicants who are registered and ready to go when we get that approved.
So that's a small portion of everything that you do over there at the Center for Active Aging.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The reason I say that is, for years, for all the years I came here and sat out in the audience, all the years I've been in office, the Center for Active Aging, which is not what it was always called, we renamed that several years back. But that was always something that people loved in our city. It was very popular, and it was extremely important. The bang for our buck and what we got for the money we invested as a city into what services we were able to provide were tremendous. And we spent all this money to provide programming for all the kids in our community, whether they're underprivileged or not. We do all this programming. This is really, this Center for Active Aging is for that other generation of residents here that don't have things to do, that we're able to provide and do that. We talk about having events on the beach and all the things we do for families, for adults, and all the money that we spend on children. A few years ago, I felt like the Center for Active Aging took a bit of a hit because we had a couple of, look, I don't think there's enough crowns in the kingdom to spread out a map to educate some of these people that were spreading misinformation, because they were a little upset that somebody who had bid on the project didn't support their candidate at the time. So they went online and ran their mouths, and they still to this day say, oh, it's an Alzheimer's center, we shouldn't be doing this. They just knocked this center. We're so much more than that. And if anybody actually attended the, let's say it's probably 4 years ago, when we talked about redoing that center, and we had the public come out, we had 20 to 25 seniors just there because I think it was the woodworking class. That's how popular it was. It's a tremendous service to have this. It's a tremendous thing for us to have in the city for that generation. The Alzheimer's Daycare Center is a small part of it. So when you hear people out there who clearly either don't understand, are not informed, or don't care, say things, and I say this for the public really, that, oh, we don't need, the city doesn't need to be in business for the Alzheimer's. We don't need to be doing the Alzheimer's thing. They think that's all that it is. That's a wonderful center that we have. It's a wonderful service we provide for the community. And it's one of the best things we have going in the city of Deerfield Beach. So for, you know, those who are critical of it, I suggest they get themselves educated. You know, maybe attend a class, because I think they're probably that age to be able to go to it. So that's you, Johnny. I'm talking to you. So
the door is always open.
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome all
Sales.
visitors to come pay us a visit and register.
I think that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Okay, I think we are now at comments by the mayor and city commission.
So let's start with District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we, stated in our moment of silence, we were lucky again, and our brothers on the west coast of Florida were not. Fort Myers is basically in Deerfield Beach West, and what happened to them could very easily happen to us. I know we have, money in reserves, but there's no money that can replace the homes and the dreams and the hopes that those people lost over there. The only thing that we can do as a city, and I'm asking the city manager this, is to learn what happened over there and try to prepare our city as best as we can with regards to infrastructure. But Mother Nature is very, very powerful, as we can see, as we are continually reminded. And we just hope and pray that we never have to face what our counterparts on the west coast of Florida are facing right now. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. District 2.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So if I were to ask my colleague, do you know who Kenton Smith is? Do you know? Okay, you would. Anybody else? All right, he works for us, and he works over at yes, exactly. He works over at that park. I go over to the Packer Rattler games, and here's the guy that could very easily be taken for granted. I watch him, and he keeps an order over there. And I'm saying this to our city manager, our parks director. It's the little things. I watch some incidents. I just stand on the sideline, and he keeps the order. And some things over there that I've witnessed could have gone the wrong way, but Kenton kept it in order. He's doing a good job over there. That needs to be recognized. It's the little thing. He knows what to say, how forceful to get, and he just does a good job, and it needs to be recognized. I also would like to thank our chief, Adam Hopstein, and his staff, because again, at the Packer Rattler game, I witnessed something this past Saturday. It was a homecoming. And so the officers were just walking there, and there was a kid, I would say probably between the ages 10, maybe 13, somewhere in that age range. And he stood just looking at one of the police officers. I mean, just his eyes were just pasted on his police officer. And then I figured out what he was doing. He was dreaming. That's what he was doing. He was dreaming. Looking at a man in uniform, and that little kid was dreaming. And that's what it's all about. Those officers are very friendly. They talk to the kids, and that kid was dreaming. And I just smiled, The only thing I will say is that, the fire department is good too, you know what I mean? That's the only thing I would have added. So, I'm glad you asked that. He asked, how would I know? I'm glad to tell you. But it was really awesome. Thank you, Chief Hopstein, for the job that you guys are doing. I really, really appreciate it. This is the kind of positive things that we're looking for. And last, I would like to thank this commission tonight for bringing this community together, for listening, debating, and just
doing what you did. It was greatly appreciated, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. District 3?
Well, what happened on the West Coast, I have a few questions about. After Wilma and Andrew, Broward County changed its building codes to withstand Hurricane 5. I don't know what the West Coast of Florida has in terms of building codes. Maybe many of the buildings that were destroyed were built before codes were changed. I will say this, we have an emergency services director by the name of Rodney Brimlow. And I know he worked very hard to make sure that if there was an evacuation order, that it was orderly. We had some problems with the bridge, but it eventually got fixed. But things were handled here. And I can only hope that people learn the lesson. You want to live on the shore? They tell you to get out, leave. 100 people decided not to, so far are dead. Hurricanes are not toys. They're very serious. And they cause a loss of life. And in some cases, unwarranted. Because people refuse to leave. Follow the directions of those who have your safety in mind. And I hope we learned a lesson from what happened on the West Coast, that it could happen here. And we have to be prepared. And we have to be trained to listen to when they say it's time to pick up and get out of the way of the storm, do it now. Not wait for the last minute. The loss of life is now over 100 on the West Coast. And it's probably going to get higher. When people said, I can stay home. Well, it costs them and their families. We are a beach town. It could happen here. And I thank God we have the right people in charge to keep us safe. The only thing I can ask people to do is when they issue an order to move, move. They say leave, leave. Because your life depends on it. And the lives of those who have to come and rescue you. There is a point in time when they will not send an ambulance or a police car out after you. Because the chances of them not surviving are greater than surviving. And at that point, they stop. So you're stuck. And that's no way to end. So let us all learn. I'm unhappy. My nephew lives on the West Coast. He was fortunate. He left. There was minimal damage to his home. But it could have been a lot worse. But he did leave, and he came here. He stayed with my brother here in Deerfield. So let us all learn from this. It's not a question of District 1, 2, 3, 4. We are a coastal beach town. Look at the West Coast and what happened and realize, hey, that could be us. We have to be prepared. We have to train ourselves to listen to those who have our safety in their responsibility. That's all I have from District 3.
Thank you, sir. District 4.
Thank you, Mayor. I likewise want to extend my thoughts and prayers to our fellow Floridians on the West Coast. The pictures that you see are just devastating and horrific, and I'm assuming that's only a tip of the iceberg of what we're truly seeing. But we have an opportunity to act instead and outside our individual capacities. We can donate money or goods to the relief effort in our individual capacities, but we have an opportunity as a city. I'm on the board of directors for the Florida League of Cities, and as you can imagine, all of the cities across the state are asking, how can we help? What can we do? And the city of Deerfield Beach, like our other cities, has an opportunity. I forwarded an email today to the city manager from the executive director from the Florida League of Cities that the Florida League of Cities is coordinating an effort that employees from other cities that want to work and assist Southwest Florida, they're going to coordinate that effort. So it would be requiring, so anyone in the city that wants to go and help can do so. Now, obviously, there has to be a rhyme or reason. There has to be a coordinated effort. So I hope the city manager takes advantage of this opportunity and ask our employees, who would want to volunteer to go to Southwest Florida. They would still be paid under the city of Deerfield Beach, but we would be sending them as our employees, as experts to go help over in Southwest Florida, whether it be through whatever department, if it's to help in the effort, or if anything, just to give someone who's exhausted over there that's working 24/7 an opportunity to take a break. That would be the opportunity that we would have to do. So I would hope that the city manager would poll our staff and those that would voluntarily would want to go to South Florida and help and offer their expertise services, that he would give them the opportunity to do so. Even though it's on our dime, I think that is money well spent, because God forbid that ever happens to Southeast Florida, we would probably want the same courtesy to us. So I hope we take full advantage of that opportunity. I would be in full support of that. Hopefully some employees will reach out to the call, but that's an individual assessment, but we need to at least give them that opportunity. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. I do want to thank the city manager and our chief and staff who helped out, and a lot of the evacuees came here to Deerfield Beach. A lot of people don't realize that. I got calls from residents from the West Coast that came to Deerfield Beach. They brought their pets. We had the rule about not bringing pets on the boardwalk, but they were staying at Wyndham, so they had no play. They weren't sure where to go, where they could walk their dogs. City manager, I let him know about it. The city manager and staff worked with the hotels to try to create some relief for those that are over there and take care of it. As Commissioner Parnas pointed out, we're over 90 deaths over on the West Coast. One area, the governor said that essentially Lee and Charlotte County are off the grid. The amount of time it takes to return power to get everyone back up and operating over there. This is a storm that is left damage that will take not years, but decades to recover from. And anybody who's ever vacationed in Sanibel and in those areas, what you knew is not what you're going to see in the future. It's very different. We talk about resiliency, and there's some people that criticize us for what our resiliency plans are. There's a small location called, it's a community called Babcock Ranch. It's located over, it's about 20 minutes from downtown Fort Myers. It has been billed as the world's first solar powered city. The 4,600 residents are there, never lost power during the storm, and they still have power that's there. They're built 25 feet above sea level. The whole town was built, community was built with the idea of surviving storms and resiliency. That's not something we're ever going to be able to do here in the city of Deerfield Beach to make us a completely solar powered town. But if you look at how close they were to this most severe damage in Fort Myers and what they were able to achieve, those of us who live in South Florida, these storms are getting stronger. We have to take measures that might seem like it's not worth the cost, but I can tell you, based on what we've seen in these areas, a community like Babcock Ranch, what they were able to achieve is admirable. And it's something that we're just going to have to get our head around and realize that's something we're going to have to do for all of those over there. Anything we can do to support them, I think we should, because we turn things around. We had that coming here to the city of Deerfield Beach, for a coastal community, and certainly for the guys. That's, I believe, all I have right now.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.